Maybe you can explain this to me, because I've never had anyone explain this to me before, but there was a story that came out a couple years ago, and I forget the name of the country, but there was a country somewhere in Eastern Europe where the United States basically offered to pay them like a couple $1 billion to mandate vaccinations and all these sort of controls during the pandemic, and they refused to do it, and they refused the money. But basically, the United States was paying another country billions of dollars for these mandates.
Right. Well, they do that all over the country and all over the world.
I don't understand that. I don't understand how that works. Can you explain, like, why? What is the benefit of us giving billions of dollars to some other random country on the other side of the world for them to lock down their own people?
So there could be many possible reasons, but one is prototyping. So, this is something you're planning on doing in your own country, and you want to see how you could get it to work in another country. And it's a prototype. A lot of times those are prototypes.
Okay.
So,
Steve, so you can find that article. It was something that came out where the president of that country made like a public statement and called out the United States.
There was one guy who called out the United States, and then he had an assassination attempt. The 5 of the countries that refused to do the mandates in Africa, I have a big article about it. Their leaders either got assassinated or were thrown out in the next election.
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go straight to the source, the fact checkers, for my information and ask them what I should believe. Okay? So here's you might have seen this meme about Tanzania, Ivory Coast. Oh, well, it's called Swaziland, is what it used to be called, which is a funny name. Eswatini. Guess they changed their name. Or Burundi. All these leaders ended up dead who weren't for the narrative of the pandemic and or wanted mass vaccine mandates for their own people. So yeah, let's see if we can find a pattern here. This is from 8th of June, 2020. Coronavirus John Magufuli declares Tanzania free of COVID-19. There he is. He looks like, you can't really judge a book on its cover, but he got a nice smile, friendly. So these are some quotes from, June 2020 from the president who declared his country coronavirus free, thanks to prayers from his citizens. Isn't that nice? Sounds like a real Christian guy. Quote, "The corona disease has been eliminated thanks to God," Mr. Magufuli said. The World Health Organization has expressed concern over the government's strategy of COVID-19. The government has stopped publishing data on the number of coronavirus cases in the country. Can't do that, right? Keep up those case numbers. Case number equals fear and panic. Case numbers, fear and panic. Case numbers, justification for more government overreach and authoritarianism. Like 2 + 2 = 4, basically. On 29th of April, the last day official data was released, there were 509 cases with 21 deaths in Tanzania. However, Mr. Magufuli said last week that only 4 patients were receiving treatment in the largest city in Dar es Salaam. So that's pretty, minuscule. Magufuli has repeatedly said that the health crisis has been exaggerated and urged people to attend services in churches and mosques, saying that prayers can vanquish the virus. And, you can just hear, most people on the left, secular-minded people, you can just see them mocking and ridiculing this guy because, like a caveman, right? You don't just trust in God. You gotta trust in the science. But, that's what real faith looks like, actually. You don't cower in fear. You don't lock down your whole country over a virus. You step out in faith and get over it, right? That's the Christian ideal, anyway. Not that everybody follows it. And he goes on, "I believe and am certain that many Tanzanians believe that coronavirus has been eliminated by God." And what else has he said? He made similar comments last Friday during a teachers' conference declaring coronavirus is finished. "The health minister told me that we only have 4 patients in Dar es Salaam, but this will not stop rumors to the contrary," he said. Always rumors. Yeah, I think this is a guy that kind of cracked down on the media. I don't know what that was about. But some might agree with that move. The Tanzanian president is among several African leaders who have received orders for a herbal tonic touted by the president of Madagascar as a cure for COVID-19. It is unclear if it has been given to patients in Tanzania. There is no scientific proof that the tonic works, and the WHO has urged people not to use unproven medication, of course. Opposition politicians have criticized Mr. Magufuli in the past for promoting policies that could harm the health of Tanzanians. The head of Tanzania's Medical Association, Alicia Osati, backed the government in a recent BBC interview, saying that hospitals were operating as normal and the majority of coronavirus inpatients were suffering from mild symptoms, which is usually the case, right? If you've been paying attention. Mr. Magufuli has accused the country's health officials of exaggerating coronavirus crisis. He has also ridiculed the strict measures neighboring countries have imposed to fight the pandemic. Wow, guy sounds pretty hard to me. Hardcore.
Tanzania's President John Magufuli has dismissed the benefits of vaccines and said no lockdown is planned in his country, as God will protect the people from COVID-19. Speaking in Western Tanzania on Wednesday, Magufuli claimed homespun precautions such as steam inhalation were better than vaccines. Vaccines are not good, he said, adding that if they were, quote, the white man would have brought vaccines for HIV and AIDS. His views contradict global scientific consensus and advice from the World Health Organization.
A few moments later.
Thank you for the good job.
The last time John Pombe Magufuli was seen in public, he was carrying out official duties and not wearing a mask. Not long into his second term in office, he suddenly vanished from public sight. After 3 weeks of speculation came the announcement from Vice President Samia Suluhu Hassan on state television.
Kwa masikitiko makubwa,
we lost our leader, President of the Republic of Tanzania, the Honourable Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, who parted this life from heart complications in hospital in Dar es Salaam.
Rumors had been swirling that Magufuli had sought treatment for COVID-19, largely fed by opposition leader Tundu Lissu and Kenyan media. The government denied the reports and arrested at least 4 people who'd speculated about his health on social media.
In all this government, no one wears a mask, including me. It proves that there is no coronavirus, and God loves this nation.
President Magufuli was more than a coronavirus skeptic. His government stopped sharing data with the World Health Organization last year and declared Tanzania COVID-free through divine intervention. The official tally still stands at 509 cases and 21 deaths all these months later. He displayed a disregard for health advice, focusing on prayer and local remedies, while also claiming the vaccines were dangerous. This drew condemnation from the WHO and the Roman Catholic Church. Magufuli's COVID denial had turned into policy for a nation of 60 million.
The ministry has no plans to receive vaccines for COVID-19, which are already in use in other countries.
The WHO has repeatedly asked the government to adopt preventative measures, such as wearing face masks, to start reporting cases, and to share data. Foreign embassies began warning of a significant increase in the number of COVID-19 cases that could overwhelm Tanzania's limited hospital capacity. In late February, Magufuli finally began to change his tone, warming to the idea of wearing locally made face masks. That was just days before a shocking press conference from his finance minister, Philip Mpango, which was called to address rumors that he had died of coronavirus. Tanzania has refused to join the COVAX program, which has delivered millions of doses to 22 African countries. It will be up to Samia Suluhu Hassan to decide whether it remains an outlier when it comes to protecting its population and that of neighboring countries. Andrew Chappelle, Al Jazeera.
Oopsie, what happened? Oh, this lady took over. The first female president, Samia Suluhu. And, of course, the title of the article is Tanzanian President Says Not Proper to Ignore COVID-19. Wow, that was like a 180, wasn't it? It was just flipped on a dime, and actually, even more so if you listen to what she says now. The Tanzanian President, Samia Suluhu Hassan, said Tuesday it was not proper to ignore the coronavirus pandemic, in comments suggesting a swift shift from her COVID-skeptic predecessor who downplayed the disease. Hassan announced she would create an expert COVID task force to advise her government. They would canvass global opinion on the pandemic and make recommendations about, quote, remedies and policies. Of course, gotta have your dictatorship of medical experts, right? Dictate how you run your country. Approved by the WHO, of course, but that's how things operate today in this global order. Quote, it is not proper to ignore, we cannot reject or accept it without any evidence from research. Hassan told her newly appointed permanent secretaries at a swearing-in ceremony. So this was right off from the bat. She made sure, better be changing your tune, lady. I mean, you don't want to... They, experts, will tell us more about the pandemic and advise us about what the world is proposing, because we just follow what the world does, right? Yeah, that's what the New World Order looks like. We cannot accept anything as it comes, but we cannot isolate ourselves as an island while the world is moving in a different direction. You can't do that. You can't be an isolationist. You can't be a nationalist. You can't have borders. Are you insane?
I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations Our Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania.
Allow me, on behalf of the people and the government of the United Republic of Tanzania, to thank all members of the United Nations for your condolence message extended to our nation following the untimely passing of our late President, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, on 17th March this year. May his soul continue to rest in eternal peace. We'll keep our arms open to those who embrace us and engage with us. We continue to be Tanzania that you have known and relied on, a Tanzania that peacefully and respectfully coexisted and cooperated with all countries. Mr. President, COVID-19 pandemic has reminded us how vulnerable we are as individual countries, regardless of our size, wealth, or geography. As we meet here today, we have less than a decade ahead to meet our collective commitment to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. My country, therefore, adopted all necessary measures to curb the spread of COVID-19, including joining the COVAX facility to ensure that Tanzania gain access to the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccination campaign has started in July this year with the most vulnerable communities and later on other age groupings. Mr. President, globally, when COVID-19 vaccines were being developed, some of us were hopeful that this would mean something good to all of humanity. With the current pace, it is less likely that we'll meet the WHO threshold of vaccinating at least 40% of people in every country by end of 2021 and at least 70% by the first half of 2022. The pandemic has compromised our capacity to respond to harmful impact of climate change. The onset of COVID-19 has given to all of us a lesson that we are deeply intertwined and that unilateralism will not get us anywhere when it comes to challenges that transcends our national boundaries. A wise person once said, and I quote, "Alone, one will go faster, but together we'll go far. Multilateralism must always prevail."
Hassan became Tanzania's first female president. Yay! Last month, following the death of John Magufuli, a COVID skeptic who spent the better part of the pandemic denying coronavirus existed in his country before his sudden death at 61. I wonder how he died. Authorities said Magufuli, named the bulldozer for his uncompromising leadership style, sounds a little familiar, died of a heart condition on March 17th after a mysterious 3-week absence. But his political opponents insisted he had coronavirus. And I mean, like I was saying, there was articles before this one. I don't have one pulled up, but they were wondering for a while there, what happened to the president? He disappeared 3 weeks. he was gone. And they claim he had a heart attack and or might have had COVID. And what are the odds of having a heart attack from COVID if you're 61? I don't think very high.
I have received news of President Magufuli's passing without any surprise, to be honest. I had expected this all along. From the first day I tweeted on March 7th, on Sunday of last week, when I asked the question, where is President Magufuli and what is his state of health?
The opposition leader who survived a gun attack after his vehicle was sprayed with bullets, some hitting his lower body, insisted the government was being less forthright when it came to the cause of Magufuli's death.
Even now that he's dead, his government continues to lie. Magufuli died of corona. And that is one. Number two, Magufuli did not die this evening. I have information that from basically the same sources which told me that he was gravely ill. I have information that Magufuli has been dead since Wednesday of last week.
Magufuli denied the local spread of COVID in Tanzania, discouraged the mention of the disease by health workers, and claimed without evidence that vaccines were dangerous, suggesting instead that people pray and inhale herb-infused steam. Facial inhalations. I did some of that, when I was getting a little spooked during the early outbreak of, was it around March, I think? First started hitting the airwaves, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, what kind of bioweapon bomb they just laid off, but I'm going to be careful. So I started filling the crud a few times, and I did that, like essential oil. Stick your head over a pot of steaming water and a towel over your head and breathe it in. It's pretty nice, calming. If you ever need to relax, just chill, try it out. A little too high-strung, watching too many episodes of the Nightwatch, just stick your head in front of a pot of steaming water and drip in some lavender oil. And then get back on the YouTube to watch more Nightwatch, of course. Despite repeated requests by the World Health Organization, there they are again, Tanzania had not published any statistics on cases since May, when it registered 509 infections and has no known testing program in place, and health officials have been forbidden from even mentioning the virus. Isn't that interesting? Total opposite of what we get spoon-fed on a daily basis from our media or our health officials. So, announced the death. Yeah, so there was a chief secretary who died first. Interesting. Soon after the death was announced, the vice president of the semi-autonomous island, whatever that's supposed to mean, region of Zanzibar, whose political party had earlier reported that he had COVID-19. So they try to make the assumption that, there's some cracking, splitting at the seams. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but they were trying to say that this bad man was trying to cover this up. But in reality, I'm kind of wondering if this was another political hit, maybe? I don't know. It's just an assumption. Maybe this guy didn't want to play ball either. So yeah, they were receiving pressure from the WHO, and this guy was this COVID denier. And so the pressure increased. The head of the World Health Organization on Sunday appealed to Tanzania to take robust action against COVID-19 in the country, where the president has long played down the virus. So he's receiving all this international pressure, right? You better take this seriously, bud. You better play ball, all right? President John Magufuli has claimed coronavirus has been fended off by prayers in Tanzania and refused to take tough measures to curb its spread. WHO Director General Tedros said a number of Tanzanians traveling to neighboring countries and beyond have tested positive for the coronavirus. This underscores the need for Tanzania to make robust action, both to safeguard their own people and protect populations in these countries and beyond. Tedros said he had urged Tanzania in late January to take measures against the pandemic to prepare for vaccinations. Prepare for vaccinations. Or else. Because that's the agenda, folks, don't you know? Mass vaccine mandates. At the same time, Magufuli revealed he had secretly had a variety of items tested for the virus. And I covered this, and it got me in trouble in another video, but I'm assuming policies are a little more slack these days. He sent in a papaya, a quail, and a goat who were apparently tested. And I think I even read on another article, like some motor oil or something. On Wednesday, the vice president, so he said he sent all those things in, the papaya, quail, and goat, and they apparently tested positive. And so, his logic was, I'm not going to do mass testing if your tests aren't even accurate, but you can't question the elephant in the room, PCR tests. On Sunday, Magufuli revealed that some of his aides and family members had contracted COVID but recovered, and offered some lukewarm support of the use of masks. Quote, the government has not banned the use of masks, but some of these are not safe at all. Let's be careful. Yeah, you're not designed to wear an N95 mask all day long, especially if you're like exerting any kind of energy, breathing heavy. And so let us all depend on God as we also take other preventative measures. I put God first, and that is why I do not wear a mask. The health minister, in a statement Sunday, called on citizens to, quote, continue to believe in God and also respect preventative measures, including mask wearing. So you have this like rift between the president of that country and the health ministers. Kind of like a little microcosm, I guess, of what you kind of saw, at least in posturing between Trump. But, even Trump eventually caved, didn't he? That all-consuming, crushing peer pressure of better have your mask on, bud. Better be part of the club, bud. All the other sheep will have a mask. What's wrong with you? Put on your dang mask, buddy. Don't make us pop you in the face so you gotta wear a mask, alright, man?
Please, come forward. Target neutralized.
And then let's skip over to what happened in Burundi. Burundi leader died of COVID-19. So, another leader of another African country that didn't want to play ball dies of a heart attack? Really? What are the odds? The same year? Wow, June. 11th of June. And he's even younger, 55 years old. Man, gotta watch my blood pressure. I might have one myself here. According to a government statement, the Burundian strongman, you always gotta he's a strongman, bad guy, bully, attended a game of volleyball on Saturday but fell ill that night and was taken to the hospital. That's fast. It was reported that the president exhibited all the coronavirus signs and was struggling to breathe when he was rushed to a level 3 hospital in Kuruzi in eastern Burundi. Although he appeared to recover on Sunday and spoke to those around him, his conditions suddenly deteriorated on Monday morning. Government officials then frantically tried to get him to Nairobi or Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, where the other guy was, remember? But could not make a decision quickly. I don't know what that means. When I read that, I was like, what are you guys doing? I mean, are you protecting the president? It sounds like stalling to me. So this is their excuse. This is their logic. Quote, this is from a senior diplomat in Nairobi. There was a lot of confusion, with two sides failing to agree on whether to transfer, and his name is a little strange, it's Nkurunziza, something like that, to Nairobi or where his wife was being treated, or to Dar. In the process, the president passed on. What? Like, how long was this process, How long did it take that these guys weren't in agreement on where to take the guy? I mean, that sounds shady right there, but talk about a political hit. Apart from his wife, his other close family members have been infected by the disease. So isn't that interesting? His wife is close as family members, and he gets infected with whatever kind of strain. Is this a new variant that they haven't quite released on the rest of us? They have a little special. That's kind of what my theory has been, like on and off now. These little theories pop in my head. But what if they have like a little special vial somewhere, right? Or a couple different varieties, and they're like, again, the Pandora's box of global tyranny. You don't like this guy, well, guess what? Another world leader died of COVID. Comorbidities / COVID. Yeah, it's just a little all too convenient, Especially when it's this pattern that's emerging of presidents and leaders in Africa, in African countries that don't want to play ball with your little globalist agenda. And so it goes on, like his close friend John Magufuli of Tanzania, they're buddies too. Interesting. Had refused to impose restrictions in the small and the poor African country, allowing sporting events and mass political rallies to go ahead. That's what a real president looks like, by the way. No lockdowns. No destruction of his local economy. No, we'll just keep going on as usual. Isn't that what they did in Switzerland? Did they all die? No. They gave recommendations to their population, but it wasn't by force or mandate. So Burundi has reported 83 cases of COVID-19, and officials have insisted that God will protect them and have asked citizens to go about their daily lives without fear. Wow. Total polar opposite messaging, right, from the officials in that country. Quote, Burundi has signed a special covenant with God, whether you believe it or not, Nkurunziza said recently. Last month, the former footballer expelled the representative of the World Health Organization amid criticism of the government's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. It has carried out very few tests and held large rallies in the run-up to the election in May.
Straight to some breaking news coming into us here at France 24. According to the government Twitter account of Burundi, the country's outgoing president, Pierre Nkurunziza, has died. In a statement, the government of the Central African nation said that he had died of a heart attack. He was 55 years old.
So do you see that little pattern there? You kick out the WHO, you don't follow their mandates, and you end up dead? I mean... Oh, and then what happens once they replace the bad guy who doesn't want to play ball? One of these little globalist goons steps in and, like a good bootlicker, follows orders and does a complete 180 and takes their country, gets their country on the right page, right, with the rest of us. So after the death of the previous president of Burundi, this article from July 1st, 2020. Man, that was fast. This time it was fast because he died at 55 in June. And pull out my calendar. Wow. Yeah, that was a quick regime change, wasn't it? June 9th to July 1st, less than a month after his death. This article, Burundi changes tack as president declares COVID-19 biggest enemy. What did Trump call it? The plague. That's what he said. Burundi's new president, Evariste Ndayishimiye, I have no idea how to pronounce that name, man. Can they just have like 3-4 syllables maybe? I'm just gonna call him Everest, okay? Burundi's new president, Everest. How about Earl? Hey, Earl. Burundi's new president, Everest, has declared the coronavirus the country's biggest enemy in a major about-turn for a nation which has largely ignored the dangers of the virus. So weird how that happens. Former President Pierre Nkurunziza, who died suddenly last month, and even Everest himself had until now downplayed the gravity of the pandemic, saying God had spared Burundi from its ravages. Man, he sure changed his tune, didn't he? Don't want to have one of those heart attacks. And Everest was speaking late Tuesday after the swearing in of his new government in Parliament. Hey, again, it's right on the swearing in day. You better change your tune, bud. Don't make me. I mean, this is how the globalist crime cartel, above the law, mob bosses operate. Now, they'll play nice to an extent, but don't test them, okay? Don't push it. Don't push your luck. You better follow orders. And so, quote, from tomorrow, Wednesday, I declare that COVID pandemic is the biggest enemy of Burundians because it is clear it is becoming their biggest concern, he said. Your biggest concern, probably, bud. Don't want to lose your head. We firmly commit ourselves to fight this pandemic. And then he uses this pretty interesting, the language. He treated as a sorcerer. He called for the strict respect for preventative measures which the health ministry will now on display across the country. Is this what happens when you don't follow the health guidelines? Get another, wait, the other guy was a strong man, right? This guy's not a strong man, right? Yeah, they didn't use that verbiage to describe him, did they? This guy's not a strong man. Nope. He's a cuddly, snuggly little teddy bear. So you better follow your health ministry, alright? And your ministry of truth, too. Dang it. He reminded citizens that coronavirus tests were free, and as was treatment, it's all free. Paid for by the taxpayers, right? Warning those who did not get tested if they had symptoms. Quote, if in the future somebody does not go and get tested in such a case, it means he wants to contaminate others voluntarily, and he will be considered a sorcerer. What is this, like Middle Earth or something? And he will be considered a sorcerer and treated as severely as one would be, he said. Wow. I mean, that's borderline like Salem witch trials, burn him at the stake right there. That rhetoric. This guy's not a strong man there, right? Burundi has only a single testing center with fewer than 10 technicians capable of carrying out tests for the virus. And what's his name? Everett. Proposed testing centers would be installed and testing campaigns launched across the country. Yep, just like the other countries do. All the other ball players. An enemy must be hunted wherever he hides, and even when his presence is suspected. Wow, some Sioux Art of War stuff going on right there. Everyone must know the coronavirus is a pandemic which transmits easily and which kills if you take it lightly. Really? A high-ranking health official officially told AFP on condition of anonymity that the turnaround comes after the World Bank donated $5 million last month to help Burundi fight the virus. Jeez. Is that all it takes? $5 million? And as some of you might know, the World Bank is basically the WHO. One and the same. It's all global government, okay? And you don't mess with the World Bank. And that's how they control health measures, purse strings, and you'll see that shortly. Give me a second. In May, Burundi, which has increasingly isolated itself in recent years, expelled a team of World Health Organization experts who were supporting the country's response to the pandemic. Yeah, you can't do that. Right? Was it Saddam tossed out the UN inspectors? Yeah, you can't do that. If you want to survive. So what did I say about the purse strings? Well, look at this article here from November 18th. That wasn't too long ago. 2021. And this is what you get for being a good boy. This is what you get for being a loyal puppet of the New World Order. President Biden terminates Burundi's sanctions program. In light of positive developments in Burundi's circumstances and political atmosphere, what could that be? The other guy who was politically assassinated was replaced by the guy that's like shining the boots of the... his globalist handlers. Yeah, I think that's pretty much how things work in this new system of control. President Biden issued an executive order that terminates EO 13712, quote, blocking property of certain persons contributing to the situation in Burundi, which authorized sanctions on Burundi in 2015. So now we know that's what you get. That's the kind of treatment you get for being a good puppet, okay? Why can't everybody just get on the same page and be a good globalist puppet? I mean, it's easy, right? You don't end up dead and you make some money on the side, you know? You have you get the good life. And so the other guy, the Jovenel Moïse of Haiti, was just blatantly assassinated. I mean, that's undisputed. The motives are disputed, but for some strange reason there's like a white-sounding guy who's part of the DEA who was shouting over the loudspeakers to stand down, and this is the DEA raid and all that.
DEA operations, everybody back up, stand down.
But, you know, don't look there. So, I mean, that's just like 3 examples of the 5 I decided to cover tonight. But that's insane to make those kind of connections. Yeah. I mean, does anybody believe in the statistical improbability that these 2 separate, and I'm just, again, listing 2 of the meme that includes 5 different leaders from separate countries in Africa. Anybody believe that these 2 presidents, who happen to be friends, who happen to oppose the World Health Organization, and not wanting to frighten their people.
To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency.
Not wanting to shut down their countries, not wanting lockdowns, not wanting to scare their public with potentially false positives from PCR testing.
Today we're announcing a new partnership with private sector to vastly increase and accelerate our capacity to test for the coronavirus. We want to make sure that those who need a test can get a test very safely, quickly, and conveniently. Using federal emergency authorities, the FDA approved a new test for the virus. We did this within hours after receiving the application from Roche, a process that would normally take weeks. We therefore expect up to 500,000 additional tests will be available early next week. I want to thank Roche, great company, for their incredible work. I'd also like to thank Thermo Fisher. The FDA's goal is to hopefully authorize the application within 24 hours. It'll go very quickly. It's going very quickly, which will bring additionally 1.4 million tests on board next week.
Eventually.
As well as not wanting to introduce vaccine mandates on their own population.
President Biden is requiring tens of millions more Americans to get vaccinated.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you.
You see, this is what happens to a president or a leader of a country who doesn't just follow orders from their globalist masters. It doesn't want to play ball with the New World Order, but actually wants to do what's best for their own country, what's best for their own people, or whatever their motives. Maybe it was selfish, I don't believe anybody in government, is necessarily capable of being an angel, but I just think it's a stunning coincidence that these 2 men, who were both friends, who both stood up against these globalist agencies, that they both just mysteriously, within months of each other, ended up dying suddenly of a heart attack. I don't know of too many other world leaders who died suddenly like that. And of course, once the problem was quickly removed and out of the way, they were replaced, right, with loyal subjects, obedient, little puppet rulers who would follow orders and flip everything on its head, you know, in an about face, complete 180, and put their countries back on track to fully embrace this global push. To fully embrace this global agenda.
La pandemia del COVID nos ha
Just
enseñado
a little too
esta interdependencia.
coincidental in my mind. I don't think the probabilities are too high. Something like that just happening. The message is clear. Play ball. Do what you're told. Follow the guidelines. Or, you know, you might just yourself have a sudden health crisis. It's classic espionage. And it's been going on for quite some time now, right?
Have you brought with you some of those devices which would have enabled the CIA to use this poison for, we have indeed, for killing people?
Don't point it at me. I wonder if
Can you roll that over?
Roll it over. Now, does this pistol fire the dart?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman. The round thing at the top is obviously the sight. The rest of it is what is practically a normal 45, although it's special. However, it works by electricity. There's a battery in the handle, and it fires a small dart.
So that when it fires silently?
Almost silently, yes. Very little.
What range does it have?
100 meters. 100 meters, I believe, about 100 yards, 100 meters.
About 100 meters range.
Right.
And the dart itself, when it strikes the target, does the target know that he's been hit and about to die?
That depends, Mr. Chairman, on the particular dart used. There are different kinds of these flechettes that were used in various weapon systems, and a special one was developed which potentially would be able to enter the target without perception.
Without perception.
Right.
And did you find such darts in the library, in the laboratory?
We did.
Isn't it true too that the effort not only involved designing a gun that could strike a human target without knowledge of the person who'd been struck, but also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy?
Well, there was an attempt.
Or the dart?
Yes, so that there was no way of perceiving that the target was hit.
Heard of the stories of Russian agents that were poisoned with radioactive substances. Yeah, I think it's just a little too convenient for the deep state, for the black ops, covert ops, black government agencies to put out a hit on a political opponent and, do it all under the cover of COVID. Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency Evariste Ndayishimiye, President of the Republic of Burundi, and to invite him to address the Assembly.
Loué soit Dieu le Tout-Puissant.
Praise be to Almighty God, He who has allowed us to come together in this magnificent city of New York in order to participate in this meeting of our organization. President of the 76th session of the General Assembly, Your Excellency, Majesties, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, Burundi assures you, Mr. President, of its full, unwavering cooperation and wishes you every success and great fortune as you discharge your mandate, both professionally and personally. Consequently, it is the time to recall that the UN has played a major role in Burundi's history because since the end of the First World War, from the end of the First World War, Burundi was managed under the aegis of the League of Nations and then the United Nations. Consequently, this regular session of the General Assembly arrives for me at an opportune moment for my country, Burundi, because it provides us with a pleasant opportunity to share with this illustrious assembly the significant progress made by Burundi on the national, regional and international stage. As regards the COVID-19 pandemic, since the arrival of the first cases of the pandemic, Burundi has taken preventative and response measures, and all of our strategies have made it possible to keep our positivity rate under 3% and to avoid high prevalence of serious COVID cases. However, the complex nature of the virus means that all the nations of the world must engage in more research and show greater displays of genius to find a solidarity-based, collective and sustainable solution, even lasting solution to this pandemic which is sowing chaos throughout humankind. On this matter, my country once again commends the historic decision of the United Nations Security Council and of the African Union Peace and Security Council to withdraw Burundi from their political agendas, by way of recognizing that the country has returned to peace, security and lasting stability. Moreover, Burundi welcomes progress already made in the process of normalizing its friendly relations and its relationship of cooperation with the European Union and its member states. Where the continent is concerned, our country is delighted to have ratified the agreement creating the African Continental Free Trade Area. The ultimate goal of this area is to integrate all 55 states of the African Union within one free trade bloc. All of this will achieve the goals outlined in Agenda 2063, which aims to create a continental market with the free movement of people, goods and services, so crucial for the strengthening of economic integration. Consequently, Burundi, alongside Tanzania and the Democratic Republic of Congo, on an international level, Burundi supports the action undertaken by the United Nations Secretary General to promote United Nations reform in order to breathe new life into this common organization and to render it more effective, more efficient, more accountable, and closer to the world's people. The state of Burundi reiterates its staunch commitment to the principles and values enshrined in the United Nations Charter. I thank you for your kind attention. May God bless you all. Many thanks indeed.
this percentage that's really misled by these conspiracy theories, it's unclear to me. There's millions of messages out there, where my name or Dr. Fauci's name is used, but do people really believe that stuff? We're going to have to get educated about this over the next year and understand, how does it change people's behavior? How should we have minimized this, either, working with the social media companies or explaining what we were up to in a better way?